You know what the last day of when we had rain was?
Depends on what you call rain.
Let's say half inch or more.
Half inch or more. We had that almost 6/10 about, when was that? It was right after we planted that planting, which would have made it about the 29th of July, but we haven't had, the last real rain we had was June 16th, I think.
June 16th. That's a long time ago.
Since then, that was after that 6/10 was the biggest rain we've had since then. And then we had twice we had 1/4 inch rains. And then we might have had like a 15 100ths in there. But we haven't really had a true rain since then. Count out 15 beds, I think, is the limit. Anywhere between 13 and 15 is a good number, but figure out which 15 beds we're going to water. And then step that off so you can figure out what length of a header hose you need. Get that header line pulled over. Step off. What you need for the to get the 2-inch hose over to wherever you're starting out. Okay, then run. Remember, run out the T-tape lines. Start running water. And you run out hoses again to put them in the right place. And remember, it's best to start with the last ones first. The last of the line. Because they'll get full of water first. And the more water they have, then the easier you found out already, the easier to run out.
We haven't had any rain in like 7 weeks. That's like a really long time. We're technically in a drought. Every time a storm is like approaching our farm from the northwest, it ends up like splitting, going around the farm, making a lot of rain, and then curving back in, and then continuing on its way. And so this is like, it's a big problem for us. So since like last week of July, first week of August, somewhere around there, we've been planting our fall crops. And so the only way to get seeds to germinate is water. You need water to germinate your seeds, especially in July when the temperatures are like 85, 90 degrees and it's really dry outside. You'll plant your seeds in the ground and they'll end up just burning up in a couple of days, and you're not going to get any germination at all. Even if you water after that point, they're pretty much toast. So we plant our seeds and we water them right away. We're using a drip irrigation, which is a low pressure, low flow watering system. And so basically the tube looks like this. The water flows through the header line and ends up going through these lines right here. These lines will then pressurize because all the water can't escape. So we basically take our line and we loop it in on itself, and it pressurizes and allows the water to then drip out of these little slits one at a time. And it actually covers a really good area and makes a really nice nice covering. We let the water run for about 3 hours and then we change the lines. Alright, so this is the header line right here. This header line is about 2 inches thick, and then from there we make these little plugs. We make a little plug right here, a little hole, and then we can put in an on-off switch to then hook up your header line. So then when we move the line, so every 3 hours we move the lines. So to efficiently move the line, what you're going to do is you're going to pick it up like this, and then you're going to carry it over to the next section. When you do that, you lay it down right there. and all you're gonna do is run down to the end of the bed with your hand over the seed row, and the line will just follow in sync with your motions. So earlier today we were running some lines out. Let's check it out and I'll show you what I'm talking about when I would say running lines. So the main reason why we use drip irrigation is because it puts the water exactly where you want it and it doesn't waste any. So check this out. This is where the seeds are at. No seeds over here. This is the walking path. There's no water here. This is in between the two seed beds right over here. There's no water here either. So we're only allowing the water to go in this little area right here. And then nothing right here, seed bed, a little bit more right here. So we're saving a lot of water. Water is a very crucial part to farming as well as life itself. So because we move the lines every 3 hours, we're starting this one at 7 o'clock. We're changing it at 10 at night, and then we're gonna be waking up again and changing it at 1 a.m. And then when we come back at 5 o'clock in the morning, we're going to be breaking down the system here and setting up on the other plot of fall crops that we just planted. So it's an ongoing process until we get some rain. Today is Friday. We're harvesting for our 15th farmers market. I am super tired today, moving the irrigation lines late at night. Kind of wore me out. We had to wake up at 10, move the lines, wake up again at 1, move the lines, and then we started this morning at 5:15, which means you have to wake up at least 4 o'clock, make your coffee, like a big pot of coffee, and then have your breakfast, and then walk out to the field. So far I've harvested Mizuna, red mustard, red dandelion, and green dandelion. So Henry has written a series of essays, and one in particular is on irrigation. On June 25th, 2016, he says, "I rarely irrigate my fields, but when I do, I usually get fall crops to germinate in the heat and the drought of August. I irrigate from our deep well." Henry's well is 230 feet deep, and he goes on to talk about two theories he has on wells. The first theory is that wells are non-renewable resource. They do not rejuvenate. The second theory is that wells do rejuvenate, And he talks about that in his essay. And we can be fairly certain that it takes more than 50 years for the surface water to get down there. Though, because our wells and our wells around us are not contaminated by nitrates from the modern synthetic nitrogen fertilizers, if surface water reached the aquifer any faster than that, we would be getting nitrate contaminations reading by now. One thing we do know for sure about nitrates is that they are incredibly water soluble, which means that wherever the water goes, the nitrates go with it. We in this area are lucky. 12% of the private wells in Illinois have nitrate levels above the EPA's safety level. So if this theory is correct, our aquifer is slowly getting recharged. So the water is a renewable water source. Whether it is a sustainable resource or not depends on whether or not we pump out faster than the water comes back in. It takes almost 270,000 gallons of water to water 1 inch on his 10-acre field. That is an incredible amount of water, and if he was to water 5 times in 1 year, that would be 1.35 million gallons of water used to water his field 5 times. That's an incredible amount of water. Farms use so much water, and to actually reduce the water usage is actually a more sustainable method of farming. So why not irrigate? For me, from the very beginning, irrigating my field seems like cheating, like I was pulling one over on nature. I don't know, I just didn't feel right. Irrigating on a large scale as a matter of course rather than emergency measure didn't feel right to me either. It just seemed like plants should grow with the rain from the sky, not water pumped out of a creek or drawn from 200 feet up out of the aquifer. If nature didn't want us to give us rain for a while, then we would have to wait until she did. The summer fruiting crops, tomatoes, cucumbers, melons, okra, and squash continued to flower, then form and ripen fruit, although there are fewer than usual. The fruit are smaller than usual too, but what they lack in size they make up for intense flavor. Since there is less water in the fruit to dilute the sugars, vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals, what would have been 1 pound of tomatoes under normal rainfall may only weigh a half a pound in severe drought, but both tomatoes will have the same amount of flavor compounds, so the smaller one will explode on your tongue. Henry is farming for tongue explosion flavor, not for quantity. And then at the end, he goes to talk about the gratitude that you get towards the rain and the feeling you get, the sense of enjoyment, the overall power that rain really has on the field and your body, your mental state of mind. Because sleepless nights of worrying about your crops, going down the field and seeing them wilt and look almost pathetic. And then in the mornings they spring back up from the morning dew, and then at night, in the afternoon they wilt down again. All those feelings that you get when you go down the field every day and during a drought and you see that and you feel it, when the rain comes, your whole body just it's like a weight being lifted off of your back. And he says a full night's sleep uninterrupted by trips to the field to run out drip tape lines every 3 to 4 hours is a great pleasure. Still, the joy is not the same, not as deep, not as clean as the unalloyed joy of rain breaking through a drought. And so it is my reluctance to lose or even dilute this great source of joy that perhaps the greatest reason for still having, after nearly a quarter century of farming, only the most rudimentary system of watering and only using it when absolutely necessary. That is really powerful. Now I understand why watering on Henry's farm is such a pain in the butt. Farming as close to sustainability as you possibly can, as close to Mother Nature, is very difficult. It takes a lot of hard work and a lot of discipline. If your irrigation systems are all set up ready to go and all you have to do is flip a switch, it's so easy. Just go over there and say, click, and the water starts flowing out. But to actually wait and allow the roots to go a lot deeper and stretch for those minerals and stretch for the extra bit of moisture that's in the soil is a very difficult thing to do, is to withhold from the water. To read the full blog post, click the link below. It's very powerful. I suggest you read it.